Hi guys, good morning, and it's so good to see everyone. And Bhavna, great energy. Thank you for having me here. It's been a journey of about 21 years that I've been building Metropolis, and I can tell you it's been a journey not only professionally, but personally more than anything else, right? And I think often, for those of you out there who are entrepreneurs, and you recognize this, that the journey of entrepreneurship is actually the most personal journey, like parenting can be, because there's so many parts of yourself that you find and you discover that sometimes you don't want to discover, you don't want to see. But entrepreneurship, like parenting, can be a mirror onto ourselves, and sometimes we see things about ourselves that we don't like. Sometimes we see things that we hopefully like, and but that becomes the mirror either way, whether we like or we don't. Becomes the continuous input and feedback for us to make ourselves even better. And what I like about this event and this conference is how looking within is so important, and really becoming more self-aware. And for me, that's been a journey as well. Um, if I look back just 20 years ago, I was definitely not an individual somebody would say was emotionally expressive. It was emotionally in tune with her own emotions, or understood exactly what I was feeling when. Self awareness was not my strength. And it has taken me the last 12 years to really invest in myself, to nurture myself, and to really find my emotion, to allow it to speak, and for me to actually have the courage to hear it, and then to act on it. And I'll tell you, it has been a very fulfilling journey from that perspective, because we spend so much of our times, especially as women, reacting to our environment, reacting to what our parents want from us or expect from us, reacting to the conditioning of society of what we should be as women, how we should behave with our husbands and our in-laws and our new families, what kind of mothers we should be, and the list goes on and on and on. And even in the workspace, what kind of professionals we should be, how we should be less emotional, how we should be more controlled, how we should be more balanced, how we should be less aggressive. All of us, very aggressive women out there who are working women, etc., etc. And I think in all of this should and what we must do, I think sometimes we drown out our own voices, we drown out our own emotions, reacting to what everybody else needs from us. And often we try to make everybody around us happy, and sometimes forget that little part of ourselves, that we keep suppressing more and more over years, till finally at one point that only comes out then as anger, as resentment, because it has been suppressed for so long. And I've seen marriages, I've seen working women who are married as well, uh, who are at some point are told by people around them how they're very aggressive. And actually, if you go into the root of that, that aggression comes from anger of having suppressed for so long. And I think the only people to blame in all of this is ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we allow that suppression. We allow for our emotions to be taking a back seat. We allow for ourselves and our own nurturing to become the last priority, while our children, our husbands, our families, our work, everything else becomes a bigger priority. And I think really conscious living is just about that. I think it's about recognizing that each of us as individuals, woman or man, are important. We must nurture ourselves. And for women, it's that much more important, because our natural tendency is to deprioritize ourselves and focus on what everybody else needs. While usually, and I'm generalizing here, for men, they tend to focus on what they need as importantly, or maybe sometimes more importantly than what everybody else needs. In my journey in this last 21 years of building Metropolis, I've seen that I've actually become a far better leader, a far better manager, and a far better entrepreneur, as I've started to fix and work on my own journey of being more self-aware, of developing my own emotional quotient, and working on myself to really be more comfortable and authentic with who I am. It allows me, when I don't judge myself so harshly, when I'm hearing myself better, it allows me to judge people less harshly. It allows me to hear them better, and to actually be a more compassionate and a more authentic leader, than I would have been if I had not gone through this journey myself. And I can tell you, when we talk about building anything, whether it's a home or whether it's building an organization, I started building Metropolis as a single lab to where it is today, where we've got 3,200 centers across multiple countries. And in this entire journey of building, there came many, many crossroads where I was not only at odds with myself, but I was at odds with my values. I was at odds with saying, look, this is what I need to do to succeed professionally, but this is what I'm comfortable doing, or this is what I'm not comfortable doing. And, often there's a fine line between pushing yourself outside your comfort zone or sometimes breaching your own values. And I think it's important to know that fine line. Putting yourself out of your own comfort zone is important, I would say all the time, because I think that's the only way we innovate. We find new sides of ourselves, new facets, and really, truly, really learn how to become better versions of ourselves. But at the same time, it's as important to figure out what we are really uncomfortable with, what breaches our core values. And I learned very early on that my core values, which were given to me straight down from my parents, what I learned straight from my parents, were one that I was not comfortable, and I still am not comfortable at any point of time cheating anybody. That just doesn't work for me. I will not cheat an investor. I will not cheat a patient. I will not cheat an employee. I will not cheat anybody because I can't sleep at night. It just makes me fundamentally, my toes curl up. I can't sleep comfortably. And therefore, for me, being ethical in everything I do is the most important part of building my organization. And I realized this quite early and therefore made my choices accordingly. I didn't get into industries where I can't function without being unethical. I chose not to engage with certain categories and segments where I knew that corruption or certain practices would be a requirement. I chose my industry, I chose my category very consciously, knowing that what I was able to do and what I'm not willing to do. And I think that was a very important choice for us to make. The second value, I think, which was very important to me, was really about respect and dealing with people with respect. Whether it's our employees, whether it's our customers, whether it's stakeholders. I believe each and every one of us have certain boundaries, sometimes conscious, sometimes subconscious, that we can't breach. And giving that respect to others to live life in the way they choose to, in a way to live and let live, where we each bring the best of ourselves to work and to our personal spaces, but we still have the choice to choose who we want to be on a daily basis. And I like that respect for myself, and I like to give that respect to others. And I like to respect their time. I like to respect my own, having those boundaries and being clear about what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and therefore accepting what works for other people and doesn't work for other people has been a very important core value of tolerance, of respect that I've tried to inculcate into my organization as well. And I would say the third one has really been about empathy and about compassion, especially being in healthcare where we deal with life and death every day. I keep reminding my teams, we have 5,000 people all across, that we have to treat every sample that we receive, no matter we receive hundreds of thousands of samples a day. Every sample we have to receive has to be like we treat our own mother sample, with that level of love, with that level of care, with that level of compassion. Because this is somebody else's child or somebody else's mother or somebody else's father's sample, and having that knowledge and that care in our hearts that we will take care, as much care, of every single patient is the most important part of what we can do. And I think therefore having that compassion not only towards our consumers and our patients, but having that compassion internally for people, for humanity, for stuff that happens in life. Stuff happens to all of us, which we never count on, we never calculate, we never plan for. But having the humanness to think beyond numbers, to think beyond performance, to think beyond um, everything else, and to think about also the humane aspect, to be compassionate, to give people a second chance, to give them the benefit of doubt. I think these are fundamental things. And I'm not saying that we should be walked over or we should not count performance. We 100% should. I can be a tough taskmaster with my team where I have a high benchmark of what needs to be done, but I can still be humane. I can still be compassionate. And I think that's what we have to find. All of us have to find the balance to do, is how we can bring love into our workspace, love for people, love for excellence. And while we have a quest towards excellence, it's not just a theoretical idea, of excellence, but a humane idea of excellence, where as human beings, we're allowed to sometimes fail, we're allowed to make mistakes, we're allowed to tolerate difference of opinion. And to me, that's a very fundamental value as well. I think the journey of trying to live to these values in a professional environment, in a country, in a globe, which sometimes doesn't always reward these values, sometimes which you see people who are doing exactly the opposite succeeding, is always a tough thing to swallow. And I think what's kept me rooted and what's kept me anchored is the fact that I've grown up in that family, and I've realized that that's what makes me comfortable at the end of the day. And I'll tell you, it's been tough making those trade offs, because sometimes you are, and we have to be conscious, we are making those trade offs in a quest of being ethical, being compassionate, being tolerant, and having respect. Sometimes there are trade offs to be made. And I think it's important to realize what those trade offs are as well. And I think I've been comfortable in accepting what those trade offs are for me. But the journey has been an exceptional one. It's been a complete roller coaster, but an exceptional roller coaster, because I've embraced every part of it. I've never run away from pain, and I've never run away from failure. And I think for me, the journey of having the courage to face who I am, to face who the world is, to face the trade-offs, and to embrace the pain and deal with it and get to the other side of that pain, which actually is about building confidence and courage, is actually the real what the part of the journey is. And I remember I've always made this statement and said that in India, we're always told that our jewelry, our assets, our land, our husbands, our fathers, these are our biggest assets and our biggest inheritance, who our father is, who our husband is. And actually, I found none of that to be true. What I've really found to be true is the most important asset for a woman anywhere in the world is her right to her confidence. With confidence, with courage, I think we're able to do anything, including living consciously. But without confidence and without courage, the world will overwhelm us. And that's not what we want to do as conscious women. I'll stop there, and thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you so much, Ameera. It was such a delight listening to you, especially because I think you echoed so many of the things we talk about as well. This idea of really looking at your life as a journey where you build things like self-awareness and self-compassion over time, and to be patient and gentle with yourself as you are building these values as well, such beautiful values you spoke of. One question I would have for you, Ameera, is there a daily habit or a daily practice that really allows you to show up more consciously as the best version of yourself?
You know, Bhavna, there was a time when I would come home from work. I would plop myself in front of the TV with a bag of potato chips. And I would eat my way through bad TV because I'd probably had a bad day. And I realized as I started getting more conscious about myself that actually what was causing that was anxiety. I'd had a bad day somewhere, somebody had said something, something had stressed me out, and I came home and I didn't realize what it was. And I either took it out on the poor bag of potato chips or on something else. And I realized that when I started feeling uncomfortable, what I start doing now is actually come home, take a few minutes to just stay still and actually let my mind run through what happened in the day. And if I go through my life, my day, like a roller coaster, and I go through and I see it sort of like a maze, I get to the point of realizing what actually stressed me out. Whether it was something somebody said, was it something which I'm worried will happen, or what if? And when I was able to find what the source of that anxiety was, I was able to confront it and action it. And what I found is that finding the source of anxiety and immediately facing it and actioning it cuts the anxiety by 90%. And by doing that, I've learned to manage my own anxiety or my own worries about things much, much better. And that's improved my own quality of life.
Thank you so much, Ameera. I completely agree with you. This idea of pausing, because when you pause, you create that stillness. And when you create that stillness, that is when you can fully check in with yourself and really understand what's truly going on, so you can address it more skillfully. Ameera, thank you so much for being such an inspirational role model for all of us in living and leading more consciously, and sharing such precious words of wisdom with us today. We wish you
Thank
all
you,
the best.
guys.
And
Lots of love and all the best to everyone.